Hi everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about how bond equipment has just gone too far in the game. Firstly, just what exactly is bond equipment in World of Tanks? It's equipment that is just better than all of the other equipment in the game. For example, if you play with regular vents, you can have 5% crew skill. If you put it in a specific slot, you can have 6% crew skill. Then there is also going to be a bounty vents that when you upgrade it, it will give you 7.5% crew skill, better than all of the regular equipment that's available to the majority of World of Tanks players. But then there is bond equipment as well, which is available for bonds for paying up to 5,000 bonds per piece of equipment for all of your tanks, and it is the most sought after currency that you get for either participating in events like ranked or alternatively just grinding through your tier 10 vehicles. Effectively, having bond equipment on your tanks just makes you better. Now look, that's just the intro. It's nothing new. But this is where I feel that bond equipment in World of Tanks has just gone too far. And that is that yesterday, everybody who participated in ranked and managed to finish it, for which you actually have to be reasonably good at World of Tanks to be able to do, or at least incredibly dedicated and invest a lot of your life into playing tier 10 over the 2 weeks that it was up, received the improved compressor. Now, this is absolutely wild. And in today's video, I'm going to tell you why, and I'm going to show you why as I fit it to the vehicle in question, which is going to be the tortoise. So the compressor, aka the turbo. It's nothing new inside World of Tanks. The turbocharger, if you're using on everything apart from a medium tank, allows your vehicle to go forwards 4 kilometers an hour faster and go backwards at 2 kilometers an hour faster. Now, what's incredibly powerful about the turbocharger, if you use it on a medium tank, is that it actually means that you go 5 kilometers an hour faster forwards and 3 kilometers an hour faster backwards. Now, Wargaming hasn't put a bounty turbocharger in the game, and so we've completely skipped that. They've skipped straight to giving all of the best, most dedicated players who played ranked an improved compressor, effectively a bond turbocharger, which allows your vehicle to go 6 kilometers an hour faster forwards and 4 kilometers an hour faster backwards. Now, why this is massive is because no vehicles apart from the mediums have mobility slots. And so that means that no tanks have been able to get more than 4 kilometers an hour faster forwards or 2 kilometers an hour faster backwards apart from medium tanks. Now with the bond turbo, this opens up the floodgates to having equipment that is literally 50% better than anyone is able to achieve on their tank destroyers, their heavy tanks, their self-propelled guns, or even their light tanks, although I wouldn't recommend putting this on all of the light tanks. The bond turbo is completely overpowered on slow heavy tanks and slow tank destroyers, and for Wargaming to gatekeep this behind playing tier 10, playing in ranked, is just creating this pathetic arms race where it makes the best players better, not because they are better than everybody else, but better because they're using better equipment than everybody else that is gatekept behind a game mode that some people are just not interested in playing, or alternatively not able to compete playing it. Accordingly, a tortoise that is incorrectly set up will be limited to 20 kilometers an hour forwards. A tortoise that is correctly set up, at least in my opinion, with a turbocharger will be able to go at 24 forwards. But if you're like me and you sweated your way through ranked, you'll be able to go at 26 kilometers an hour. That is 30% faster than anybody who sets the vehicle up incorrectly, and 10% faster than anybody who doesn't bother to use a bond turbo on their tortoise. What do you think happens when you fully trick out one of the most dangerous tanks in the game that was held back by its mobility? Well, we're just going to have to see the results. Here we go. We're rocking out in the tier 9 British tank destroyer with the near joint top damage per minute in World of Tanks. Its bigger brother, the Banjo at tier 10, has a tiny little bit more DPM. But to all intents and purposes, what you are seeing here is the highest possible damage per minute in the game, i.e. using a bond gun rammer, bond vents, having a bond directive, well, not the bond directive, sorry, a gun rammer directive on the vehicle as well, brothers in arms on the crew, and also using pudding and tea. This is as dangerous of a tortoise as you're ever going to see. Now what's wild about this vehicle is that now suddenly I'm actually progressing through the field very quickly. Whereas usually, back in the day when the tortoise could only go at 20 kilometers an hour, it might get caught out by some of the light tanks that are advancing towards the flanks, and then bombarded by some artillery, or even caught out by a medium tank or a tank destroyer. This thing is getting into position. I'm actually going upslope now as fast as the tortoise used to be capped out at. And remember that it's not just the top speed limit that the Bond Turbo will also help you with. It increases your engine power significantly more than a regular turbocharger, which means that when you're getting up slope, you can be all the more deadly. And even pulling back, remember, it's increasing your reverse speed by 4 kilometers an hour, as well as increasing your top speed forwards by 6, so you can be more dynamic on a ridgeline. A vehicle like the Tortoise, which was never intended to be able to pull back quickly, at 10 kilometers an hour, now going backwards at 14, that is a huge step up for the tank. And it takes a vehicle that had, I think, the joint best win ratio of any Tier 9 tank destroyer, along with the T-95. It propels it into a position of just utter craziness. Yesterday, I played the Tortoise about 20 times on the stream because I just got the Bond Turbo and I wanted to be able to test the vehicle out. What you're going to be seeing here is one of the better games that I had during the evening. I managed to get 3 ace tankers in a row, getting about 1,400 to 1,500 base experience with the Tortoise. And that's because what are my opponents really meant to do? I've got more hit points than them. I have not the worst mobility now, which was meant to always be the main weakness of this vehicle. And when you can pick apart AE Phase 1 from full health just like that, and fire at people's tracks to lock them in place, and then this is the beautiful part. Look, I can reverse nearly as fast as the AMX M449 goes forwards. Usually, a Tortoise in that situation would have just been flanked by the Tier 8 French heavy tank, but no more, because I'm able to go faster, because I'm able to go backwards 40% faster than a Tortoise would be able to go without the Bond Turbo, and I'm able to go back 2 kilometers an hour faster than a Tortoise that's using a regular turbo would be able to achieve. But this thing just has the mobility to be crazy. Now, I managed to get myself in a bit of a tricky situation there, but we scuttle away and we managed to turn the vehicle faster as well, because remember, traverse speed in World of Tanks is based on engine power. And so, by having better engine power, like the Bond Turbo gives us, we're able to turn the vehicle faster than ever before. Again, mitigating one of the weaknesses of this tank that kind of made it balanced. And when I say kind of made it balanced, I mean kind of made it balanced, but it was still the joint best tank destroyer in the game, at least according to its average win ratio, which I believe is 51 or about 52. So in this situation, I'm in a tricky scenario. What I'm going to do is use my excellent rate of fire to track the Super Pershing, and then I'm going to turn it around on the 110. And what have you done? Buddy, you just changed it from where you were behind me and causing me massive grief to now being where you're in front of the most dangerous tank in the game, tier for tier, which in my opinion, set up like this, has to be the Tortoise. I raised my gun to try and ricochet the Super Pershing from going through the top. Unfortunately, I bounce off the 110 there with a bit of a miss shell. Luckily, I lock his tracks down. We set him on fire. The premium fire extinguisher goes off the vehicle. And now I have a rate of fire that is about a 5.1 second reload roughly. And it gets even more scary on this tank. Multiple times during the evening, I lost most of my hit points, and when my hit points went down to 200 and below, adrenaline rush kicked in, and I had 5,000 damage per minute. We're talking about killing 1.5 mouse in that time. We're talking about killing 3 tier 8 vehicles in that time from full health. And there's no wonder that when you set up a vehicle that is this outrageously good at pretty much everything apart from mobility, and Wargaming give a module to all of the best players that increase its mobility more than any other tank could possibly dream of, or any other Tortoise player could dream of, that this thing is outrageously dominant and just frankly overpowered. The result? A high caliber for the near 7,000 damage that we dealt, a steel war medal for managing to ricochet 3,000 damage, and my opponents had to deal with my other 2,000 hit points, which they were unable to overcome. We raced into position, we hit every shot that we fired, and we just simply dominated this game. Made it a decent profit as well at the same time. Now, you might be thinking that all of the players that we were playing against were puppies, but upon closer inspection, most of the win ratios of the players that we were fighting were about 52%, meaning that they're at least in the top 20% of players if you're looking at average win ratio. And while I'm not claiming that they played pixel perfect, it's more of a case of what can they do when an experienced player who has all of the advantages that they can't possibly obtain unless they dedicate their life to World of Tanks has and faces off against them. The crazy thing about the Bond Turbo now is that only one has been given to all of the players who play ranked, and you're not even able to purchase it even if you have bonds inside your garage. You can't go and buy one unless you participate in one of Wargaming's events. It's clear that Wargaming knew how powerful this module was going to be, and they're going to try and use it to either make you participate in events to be able to claim it, or possibly even as a reward for achievements, or participating in competitions. Currently, to be able to demount Bond equipment, it costs you 200 bonds, which means that even for the players who worked to be able to get this module, they're going to have to pick one out of their 600 tanks to be able to put it on, and then pay substantial amounts of bonds if they want to remove it and put it on another tank. This whole system just seems absolutely crazy to me. Did Wargaming really not consider the ramifications that a Bond turbocharger would have on the slowest, most powerful tanks in the game? Do they really think it's a good idea to gatekeep speed for only the most dedicated and skilled players? And once again, at least in my opinion, and I hope this is the case for all of you, is that players don't want to win because they use the best equipment. Surely they want to win because they played better. And with Bond equipment like this going in the game, which literally makes you faster just because you jump through Wargaming's hurdles, slowly but surely, with all of the advantages that you can manage to get your vehicle that nobody else can be able to achieve, I'm beginning to question whether that's even really the case. Accordingly, Wargaming, please consider the ramifications for Bond equipment. Please consider what will happen when you give the best players equipment that works better on their vehicles than anyone else can be able to get, even if they have loads of bonds and want to be able to spend them. And furthermore, consider the ramifications of when you put modules in the game that literally allow tanks to go 60% faster. Do you not think that's going to speed up the game? And finally, I'm very much concerned how with all of the different ways that you can customize your tank and all of the ways that you can set them up, how Wargaming are going to be able to balance the disparity between their player base and also balance the tanks that they choose to play. Anyway, ladies and gents, boys and girls, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, but if you hated it, give it a thumbs down. And let me know in the comments what you think about the way that the Bond compressor has been released. Do you think it's outrageous that you can only get one of them? Do you think that it's outrageous that you have to spend 200 bonds to be able to demount it from your tank? And how do all of you players out there feel that there are going to be exceptional players who only play tier 10, who have grinded through ranked, that now have equipment that make their vehicles literally faster than yours and faster than you can possibly be able to get by any other means than currently playing ranked? And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.